Welcome to the podcast where I talk about what really shapes our health, not our habits, but our mindset. And I'm April, a health and weight loss coach who is on my own journey to lose weight, rebuild confidence, and most importantly, change the way I think about myself and my goals. Each week, I will talk about the real challenges of weight loss, the ups and the downs, and the powerful roles that our thoughts and approach play in transforming our bodies and lives. Whether you're just getting started, feeling stuck, or ready to level up your results, this is the space for real talk and a reminder that change always starts from within. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's get into it. So last week we talked about reviewing January, looking at our wins, what worked, the areas that you want to improve upon as you move forward into February. So now we're here, and February has already come and gone for the first week. We're entering in the second week of February. And this is usually the moment when things start to feel a little different. Excitement has faded, motivation isn't as loud, and you're wondering, now what? Right? So today we're talking about what to do when motivation fades, because this is never the problem. This is typical. Motivation is never a long-term feeling, like every day, all day, right? It's actually where we really can change and develop our strength from within and our willingness, which is, I always go back to willingness. I think it's such a big part of the journey, right? So we want to realize that motivation feeling low and going up and down and visiting and leaving is completely normal and nothing's wrong with you. And I think it's so easy to feel like we're missing something because, especially in the world of social media, everybody is showing the perfect day. And when we see these clips and what I ate in a day and the workouts, it's kind of like pictures. When we look at pictures, you're only seeing the good days, the good moments. It's very rare people are snapping a picture in the middle of a fight you might be having or a breakdown where you're crying. Nobody's going to snap a picture in that moment. So you're not going to see that. You're not seeing all the background of what gets somebody to where they are, right? So motivation is temporary for everyone, right? So January runs on excitement and hope and all the ideas. And February, we're starting to run into, okay, here's where the work sets in, creating these habits, the willingness to keep going with them. And how do we do that? So checking in and asking yourself, how am I feeling right now? Physically, mentally, are you feeling energetic? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling discouraged, proud? Any of the feelings that might be out there. And we often we often miss this step, and myself included. So I'm talking about this too because this is something I'm realizing I need to do for myself more, is to check in with myself and see how I'm doing emotionally, physically. And awareness of that guides us to making the adjustments we need, right? So if you're feeling exhausted, forcing more intense workouts or planning is not going to help you in that moment. If you're feeling bored, then sticking to a quote unquote discipline of routine might not be what keeps you moving forward. You might want to look into a variety. So if you're feeling bored with a workout that you're doing because you're doing kind of the same routine, the same setup, the same days you're doing legs or the same days you're doing arms and you're doing the same workout videos, maybe switch it up. Maybe look for a new video. Maybe look for a new type of movement. If you're focusing just on one movement, maybe that could be something to look into. I love having dance workout videos at the ready because I love music and that always kind of helps me get going. And movement, yes, there's the muscle building and all the things that we want to do, But especially if you're feeling bored or even tired, maybe a little down, putting on a song, your favorite song, and just shutting the door and the world out for a 4 minute song or 3 minute song and just dancing it out. I don't know if anyone out there used to watch Grey's Anatomy, but way back in the day when it was still Meredith Grey and Christina Yang, and they would dance it out. And that was a favorite thing of mine because it's just such a release, right? So if you're stressed, that's also a thing to do. Um, but if you're stressed too, you might want to look out for more support. And these are all things to check in with yourself and see what your body's asking you for and how can you give that to yourself. So the other thing to ask yourself is what are you prioritizing right now? So when motivation fades into the background, some willingness is kind of not showing up as much. A lot of times that means priorities are kind of swooping in and quietly taking over again. And so your priorities are work, family, kids, pets, cleaning. These things start to take over the priority of you and your self-care. And that could be movement or quiet time or reading or art time, and those kind of slide away. So you're not really giving you what you need any longer. And it's so easy to let that slip back in. So the checking in with ourselves can kind of bring us back to, oh yes, this helps me feel good and this helps me get more energy. So prioritizing your health doesn't mean you're not prioritizing other people in your life anymore. There's a way to balance it. It can be tricky and every day can look different. But when you prioritize yourself and making that non-negotiable in small ways, whether it's that 10-minute walk a day, whether it's meal prepping for an hour on Sunday, whether it's scheduling your workouts as part of your day. So it's just that's what's happening. I'm not going to be home by 5. I'll be home by 6 because that's when I'm working out, or however you want to fit it in. That is going to help you keep going. And when you show up for those things and you're willing to do them anyway, that's going to propel you forward. And maybe it's also having some flexibility in with what you want to achieve, right? So shorter workouts instead of skipping them, simple meals instead of complicated plans. Going to bed a little earlier instead of scrolling. These are all things I know I talk about meal planning and prepping a lot, and that's something I've started to incorporate into my days and my weekends. How can I make my meal plan easier for me where I'm not food prepping as much, but I still have variety? And one thing, I love fresh vegetables, but it does take more time to wash them, to chop them, to cook them. So for like 1 week, I switched it up and I just grabbed a lot of variety of frozen vegetables. And I did cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, green beans, butternut squash, and I roasted them off in the oven. And it was quicker and it got me through a weekend so I didn't feel as consumed because in that moment I was feeling a little overwhelmed by taking up a lot of time with that for that weekend. So when you look and you ask yourself and you check in and you think, okay, how can I make this easier so I can still prioritize it and fit it in? That's going to keep moving you forward in these goals that you have. So it's about doing things even when it might not be as exciting, but finding ways for yourself that you can still incorporate it into your day to get it done and to feel good about the fact that you got it done for yourself. So self-care, really big. It's not, you know, treating yourself to get out of something. It's so important for our bodies to feel like we're giving ourselves what we need, and it's rest, movement, comfort, all of the things. And if you are not prioritizing those things, Your willingness goes down because you're not even tuning into yourself. Tuning into yourself is such a big part of this. So these questions are really helpful to ask, to take a moment and ask them and answer them, and then try to figure out how you can give the things that you need to yourself. So we want to also remember that you want to ask yourself, how do you feel? You want to ask yourself, what am I prioritizing? And you want to ask yourself, how can I support myself instead of fighting myself? How can I ask myself what I need and how can I give it to myself? That's how progress continues long after the motivation fades. And we just keep asking, what am I willing to do today? What am I willing to get this accomplished for myself today? And hopefully, this was helpful in setting you up to figure out what you need to move through February and to achieve some goals for yourself. To really show up for yourself and feel good about what you're choosing to do for you every day, as well as others. So, as always, thank you for being here. And if this episode was helpful, please share it with someone who you think might benefit from it. And if you have any questions or a topic you would like to hear me talk about, my email is coachapril@wakeupwilling.com. And as always, please remember to wake up willing to do something that feels good to you. Have a great week. Bye.